It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, there seems to be a lot of concern in the greater Hazleton area about the political situation we have, and a lot of people either happy, upset, etc. So a group was formed, a watchdog group was formed by Louis J. Beltrami. For those of us in the greater Hazleton area and throughout northeastern Pennsylvania, you know him as Booty. But it seems like this is the guy that is making it happen, or at least he's the ear that people are talking to him about. Well, I'm very happy to have him on the show today because I have some questions about it. 4 children you have, right?
4 boys.
4 boys, all of them attorneys, and one's doing a great job as a judge in the Allentown area, correct? Yes. Okay. Now, Booty, first, thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. You know, when I talk to you, and I know you a long time, you know, I always say to myself, here's a guy, Booty Beltrami, a successful businessman. You got Booty's restaurant. You know, you're having a lot of fun with it, meeting a lot of people. I want to know why, you know, you have this concern group or this watchdog group. Why did you decide to start something like this?
Well, it all started really in Butler Township when our 2 supervisors in Butler Township decided that they were going to give themselves Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And the one supervisor, the cost of his insurance was $27,000 a year, and the cost of the other one was $14,000 a year. And I said to myself, whoa, wait a minute, where are we going? So I put an ad in the Standard Speaker and asked people to come to the meetings. And we went to the meeting, and there was about 100 to 150 people there who were disgruntled citizens and didn't like the fact that the supervisors were giving themselves Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So I got up and I spoke my piece, and when I was finished, there was 100 people or more, gave me a standing ovation, and thank you, Booty, and thank you, Booty. And they wouldn't rescind it that night, take it back, but then 3 days later, they sent a letter to the Standard Speaker and rescinding that they withdrew their Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So it was a start. So that's how it started in Butler Township. And then along, you know, being in a restaurant, you hear all kinds of stories. You hear good stories, you hear sad stories, and the most stories I've been hearing, they're disgruntled, they're upset. They can't pay their taxes anymore. They're having trouble paying their bills. And the reason why they come to me is they thank me for selling soup for 99 cents, selling them a bowl of soup for 45 cents some days. So they asked me if I could do, what could they do, what could we do? And I says, well, I'm thinking about organizing a watchdog group that we could be loud and clear and let the people, let our voices be heard. And I got my friend Tiffany Cloud, who was very learned, she's a very educated woman, who has a lot of good ideas, great ideas, and she came on board with me, and we had a few meetings, and that's when we decided to form this group along with Johnny Ford and some other concerned citizens.
What is the purpose of this group? I mean, you know, I know people are disgruntled. It's interesting because when you see what's happening in the political scene over the number of years, I've always told people, try to vote for people who are qualified, not to vote for them because they're a friend of a friend, just to qualified people. And you know what? If you're not doing the job and you're not getting it done, if they're promising you things, then why do you re-vote them in? I mean, without pointing fingers, I mean, so the group is going to get together, okay, and I hear it as much as you hear it as far as people who we're promised property tax, we're promised this, we're promised that, we're promised this, year after year after year after year, Booty. Nothing's ever done about it.
Well, that was a good, you asked a lot of questions with one sentence, but
yeah.
Let me start by saying this first. I want to emphasize this. This is a bipartisan group. We want people to understand that we are not a Republican, we're not a Democrat, we're not an independent, that we are a group that we're asking the people to vote their conscience. Put the man in that's going to do the best job. I don't want to hear rhetoric about somebody running for mayor or somebody running for for a council. I don't want to read it that he went out with this girl last night and he smoked pot when he was 2 years old. I don't want to hear that stuff. I want to hear, what is your platform? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What's your timetable? These are the things that we're going after. We're not Republicans, we're not Democrats.
So what you're actually asking for is accountability.
Accountability, we need accountability. You said it, we were promised the gaming money. Did any of us ever get the gaming money? No. Another false promise. We were promised they were going to privatize the liquor stores so that people could save some money by buying the wine the way they buy it in other states. Did they do that? No. And there's so many promises that are broken, and this is what we're trying to correct. This is one of the purposes of our group.
Okay, so you said it started off with the supervisors,
right,
wanting to, and then where else is it moving to? Because as you start building, you know, a lot of people could, you know, have a lot of complaints, and they could tell you a lot of problems. But one of the things that I'm sure you'll do is research on the subject matter that you're going to be addressing.
Yes, we're not going to go over half-cocked.
Yeah, because I think sometimes if it's easy to criticize, but if you don't know a full story before you do that, it's important to have that kind of background.
That is one thing that we are going to make sure that we do the research. We research the subject, and then we go to a meeting and we can talk intelligently about it. And if we don't know all the answers, then we are going to invite the people to come there that do know about it to explain it to our group. That's the purpose.
So if I had at this meeting, okay, which we covered, what were the main things that people were telling you about? Like, in other words, I know there's a lot, and I know you had surveys done, and you're deciphering them to find out whatever. But what were some of the things that they were really upset about?
People are very, very upset about property taxes. People are concerned about their right to work tax. You'd be surprised how many people came there and said, I have to pay a certain percentage to go to work. How about the people that get a relief check every month? What tax do they pay? They're concerned about high prices. Those prices are going through the roof. They're concerned about oil prices, gas prices. People are upset, and they have no one to turn to. And if you remember, if you just keep in mind, most people are afraid to talk. They're afraid of someone going to come after them or something. They're just afraid to talk. So they're really looking for a good leader that's going to lead them and help them in all the ways that they're looking to be helped, that want to be helped.
And you feel that you're the person to be able to do that?
Well, Sam, good question. I'm the person, okay, that's going to get us started. But remember, I think I talked to you about this before. You know, I'm up in age. I'm 78 years old.
God bless you.
I'm on third base waiting to go home. What I'm looking for young people, young students, college students. I'm looking for young people, middle-aged people, 50 years old, 60 years old, 20 years old, 21. I'm looking for people like that to step up to the plate. I want them to come up to the plate to take a bat at this. I want that. That's what I'm looking for. I want people, young people, to come up and step up to the plate that they can replace me, that I'm on third base. This is what I'm really looking for.
There's one thing that young people do not have, and that's the wisdom, and they have the experience that people like you have that have been around for a long time, and you've come up the hard way, people who know you, your background. Sometimes it's very sad, because sometimes when you're talking young people, okay, they're sold a bill of goods. And when they're sold a bill of goods and not really know what life's all about, it's hard to sometimes bring them into reality, okay? And that's what, it's a good challenge, all right? And how do we bring people into reality without having to, you know, black is black and white is white, Booty. You can't change it, all right? So when people see that taxes are going to the roof, when people see energy costs going to the roof, when they see all of that, and they're being told, no, things are really great, Okay, how do you convince people to understand what life's all about?
We have to convince people that if they're a Democrat or Republican, that they just can't go to the polls because they're a Republican or Democrat and vote that person in. Now, I'm going to give you some examples. In Luzerne County for the last 30 years, if there was a candidate that murdered someone, was convicted and spent time in jail, he was a Democrat, and he ran for county commissioner, you could almost restfully assure yourself that he was going to get elected. These are the things that we want to stop. We want this to stop.
And why is that, Booty? Why is that?
Why is it? Because their parents were Democrats, their parents were Republicans, and you must do this, you have to stick with the party. We want these young people to come out on their own and say, wait a minute, I'm not, that's antiquated. We need people, like I said to you, we need people to get out of that box, to come out and do what's right for themselves, and not only for themselves, for their children, for their grandchildren, because if we don't do this, we are in one hell of a mess, pardon the expression.
Put me down as a member. Folks, I'm talking to Booty Beltrami, okay? I've been talking about concerned groups. You hear what he said, folks? We've been saying this for years. Because you're a Democrat, does that mean you go in? Because you're Republican, does that mean you go in? Okay, look what we're paying the price today in society because we've done that. We'll be back with Booty right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7. I want to welcome all the friends in Schuylkill County, folks. And once again, I want to thank you so much for this recent survey on our news at 4 o'clock now, 5 and 6. Over 85,000 people watching Local News 13 today. I'm so happy and appreciative of that. 24/7 SSPTV.com. Remember, the official water of Samson Productions and SSP TV is Tomican Mountain Spring Water. Folks, Starbucks uses this water. If they don't have this water where you buy water, ask for it. And of course, yes, I'm taking it every day. Mona V, folks, Danny Basala, give him a call. It's fantastic stuff. My guest today, a friend of mine for many, many years. I don't believe he's 78 years old. He just shocked me before. Louis Booty Beltrami, folks, seems to be the person that's getting things together, and if you want things done, I guess he's the guy to go to. Booty, you mentioned something about the mindset of people today. The mindset that when you grow up, you said if you shot someone, raped someone, whatever you can, if you ran for a Democrat, you went in because that's the way to go, the Democrat ticket or the Republican ticket. I don't know how you have to tell, particularly senior citizens who get abused all the time. They get lied to, and they believe all of that stuff. How do you make people change their minds?
We have to campaign. We have to go out and knock on doors. We have to call people on the telephones. Come to a meeting. Come and get educated. We'll tell you how you could do it. We'll tell you, believe me, we'll tell you what to do. The most important thing about this group is a watchdog group. That when there's an election, we're going to invite, if you're running for Congress, you're running for mayor of Hazelton, or you're running for supervisor in Butler Township, whatever you're running for, that you have an authority, that you make decisions that involves all of the citizens in this greater Hazelton area. When you're making those decisions, you come and tell us. Tell us what you're going to do. I don't want no rhetoric. Just come and tell us what you're going to do. No BS stuff like they usually do.
Well, that's the sad part. But do you have any agenda doing what you're doing, Booty?
I get a lot of criticism, let me put it that way,
Well,
but criticism comes when anytime you want to change something, you get criticism. But I take it this way, Sam. I'm willing to take this criticism because in the end, for the good that it's going to do for the community, we'd be well worth it. And another thing about criticism, I don't worry about that. I only worry about when God criticizes me. Then I got a problem.
When you talk about, when anybody who makes any kind of move, okay, I started Local News 13, he's never going to make it, who does he think he is, and the same old nonsense, and I didn't get support from some of the high muckamuckas in this town. They wanted Sam Lesante to fall on their face. I decided to do one thing. let me serve the people in the Hazelton that I grew up with. Let me serve the common folks. I'm not worried about the mucka-muckas who want to see me go down the tubes. And that's the way we became successful, and we work that way. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I'm saying I'm looking at your group of people. And I said, put me down as a member, not because I don't have any, but I'm so tired of seeing this kind of nonsense happen that people are just, they get swamped in by the D's or the R's, and that's all they do. Accountability is so important.
That has to stop. That definitely has to stop. We have to vote the candidate. People have to vote their conscience. If they're a Democrat and they know that the candidate that they're trying to put in office is no good for the area, for the state, or for the country, they have to vote against him and vote the person that is qualified that's going to get the job done. We need people to get the job done. It's not, and it's, people have to make decisions, not based on getting reelected. And that's another thing. I'll be the happiest guy in this world when we come up with term limits. That's the only way we're going to stop this. That's the only way. You want to be a mayor of Hazelton? Fine. Be in there for 4 years, and after that, resign. You want to be the governor? Not 8 years, 4 years, resign. You want to be a state senator, state representative? Go in there for 4 years and not come back and live with the same laws that you created. That's not a hard and easy thing for them to do. That's why they want to stay in there for the long term. How can we afford their pensions? Look at Senator Mello. Just look at that wise guy. Look what he's getting. $200 and some thousand a year, plus Blue Cross, Blue Shield, didn't he get enough benefits? These are the things that we have to stop. I read in the newspaper the other day, a Wilkes-Barre superintendent of schools, $247,000 pension. My goodness, where's it going to stop? If things don't stop like this, we need God's intervention to stop it.
But you see, Booty, when you start saying things like this, and you start, when Brian Rich was on the show and he talked about, not that I'm promoting Brian, but Brian said about the pension program, it was going to bury the state of Pennsylvania. But when you start telling things like this, then you start offending people. You start offending unions, and unions think, then they think you're anti-union. And if you, so then you start going tiptoeing, and you're afraid to say this or that. So how do you, I mean, what direction do you take? Because you're going to offend someone.
You have to have enough, if you're a leader, you have to have enough intestinal fortitude to stand up against these union guys. Unions were great 100-something years ago when our parents were getting abused working in the mines. That was fantastic. But now the unions went just the opposite. Now they want to give everything to everybody with our money, and so they can sit in their big posh offices, and we have to stop it. School teachers. Somebody has to sit down with them and say the days are over. We can't afford it no more. Policemen's unions, we have to sit down. Firemen's unions, we have to sit down and talk. I can't see why a police officer or a school teacher has to have collective bargaining against their neighbors. I can't see that. You're collective bargaining against me. You're saying you want this, you want that, you want that. Well, how about the guy that's a plumber? Who gives him a fat pension? He don't get no pension. People have to start putting money away for a rainy day. We've got to start giving away these lucrative contracts to all these unions. We have to do what that governor did in Arkansas. We have to have the intestinal fortitude to sit down with these people. And I have nothing against school teachers. I think they're hardworking. They're people. And school teachers, as far as I'm concerned, they're under a lot of pressure, too. They're under a lot of pressure from the state. You have to have so many kids in your class that have to have this kind of a mark. And to me, I think that's ludicrous anyway, because we want everybody to be college graduates. We want them to be doctors, lawyers, candlestick makers. But who's going to grease the cars? And who's going to go make the tires for your car? Who's going to come and do your lawn? Where are you going to get the welders from? Where are you going to get the mechanics from? We need a variety of things. And what this government is trying to do is they're trying to make everybody become somebody that's highly educated. And in the meantime, we have nobody to do the dishwashers, the cooks, waitresses, and so forth. We need a change.
Booty Beltrami, folks, 78. Do you believe it? He sounds like he's about 40 years old. Come back. Let's see where we're going to go with the concerned group. Folks, I know what you're sitting. You're sitting back, and you know what you're saying. You're right, Booty. You're right, Booty. Now you got to do something about it. You got to do something about it, folks. Loving the show. I'll be back right after this break. Thanks for staying with us, folks. Sam Lesante here. My guest, Louis Booty Beltrami. Folks, I guess people are upset with what's going on, and we have a watchdog group that Booty is the spearhead with. Booty, when you're talking about your group, and they came, you had a huge crowd, and you're right. I think if there wasn't raining that night, you had over 175, it would have probably been double that because of the weather. But people are certainly calling you. Pros and cons, you're hearing both. Boiling down to is is this a group that you want to get together then you start endorsing candidates? No,
that's definitely out the window. We don't want to endorse any candidate. What we want to do, we want to be open to everybody. We want the candidates, as an example, Lou Bartlett is running for Congress. We want Lou to come to be a speaker at one of our meetings. Let him tell the people what he's doing, what he wants to do. But most of all, when he's there, we want him to hear the voice of the people. We want him to make decisions based not on only what he wants to do, but the people, what their choices are, what they want to do. This is our goal. We're not politically connected with anybody. Mm-hmm. We want people, like I said, to come down here and vote their conscience. After they hear 4 or 5 different speakers, then let them make that choice. That's their choice.
So you have a candidate. You had a candidate that's in there for a number of years, promise you this, promise you that, and you keep on hearing the same thing. Then they come out, especially now, this year, you're going to hear they're going to start scaring the senior citizens. They're going to lose this, they're going to lose that, they're going to lose this. How do you make people realize that 90% of that is all bull and 10% maybe have some fact?
Well, the people have to trust our group. They have to trust our group because we have a lot of good, well-educated people that are serving with our group. We're not out there to wheel, deal, cheat, connive. We're not there to do that. We're here, we're going to work for the people. We're going to put our best foot forward, do the best job we could to assure these people that your goals are to reduce taxes or whatever. This is our goal.
So what ticked you off?
What ticked me off?
Yeah.
That supervisors meeting, to be honest with you. Really ticked me off. And there's a lot of things tick me off. I read the newspaper. Every day I'm ticked off about something. I'm ticked off about the buses that are running around the city of Hazelton empty. I'm ticked off about that, where the state wants Hazelton to merge with Luzerne County Motor Transportation, or whatever they call it up there in Wilkes-Barre. They want to merge. I'm listening to the rhetoric, going back and forth. What do you think I'm listening to? Oh, they want us to merge with Luzerne County. Well, their deficit last year was $2 million, and our deficit here in Hazelton was only $1.8 million. Oh, what a great company they run. The both of them lose $3,600,000, $800,000, and they think they're doing great. These are the things that have to stop. At least use those buses to bus our kids to school. But nobody has enough intestinal fortitude to stand up and say, this is what we're going to do, because they're afraid to lose a vote. These are some of the issues.
Bringing those issues, okay, and remember you said you're going to deal with fact. You're not just going to deal with emotions, okay?
Right.
Now, I want to ask you this question. Throughout the years, you make friends, you get upset, you make friends, that's life. Life is that way. You fight with your wife, you don't fight with your wife. That's what we're called human beings.
You don't really fight with your wife.
No, absolutely not. I don't do it. No, we don't do that. Yeah. But the point is, so Booty Beltrami, okay, bringing the light, you have no agenda. You certainly don't want to run for office, okay? When you're dealing with fact, okay, whether you like the person or not like the person, that will have no effect on what to say. For example, let's say you don't like a person, but you find out that person is really doing a good job. Will you support that?
Then he's the guy we got to vote for.
Okay.
Whether he's my worst enemy, and he has what he is saying, what we like to help the people in the state, the city, the county, or whatever. He's the guy we want. He's the guy that's going to carry our voice to get the job done.
One other question I want to ask you, because I think you know that I've been very involved with John Rich with the coal liquefaction plant.
Yes, John's a good guy.
Okay, we're talking about a situation here that I really want to vomit when I think about it. We sit on an abundance of energy, coal. We sit on a that could solve so many problems that John had the answer for, okay? But what happened? He got politically bogged down by the oil people. He got politically bogged down, et cetera, and we heard a lot of rhetoric. We heard rhetoric from everybody, okay? What do you do in a case like that?
What do you do in a case like that? We have to get leaders that are going to stand up at the podium. They're going to stand up and they're going to say, I don't care what you say, and I don't care what you say. This is a great project. If that man could build a coal gasification plant and he could put thousands and thousands of people to work, then he's the guy we want, because we need good, high-paying jobs in this area. We need these jobs. So all these politicians must get behind these projects, and they must support them 1,000%. Not 100%, but 1,000%.
You know, Booty, when we talked about doing the show, you said we have to do an hour show. I can't believe that the half hour is up, folks. These are the kind of shows I love. Whether I agree on a lot of things, the point is that it gives him a vehicle to expose. Booty, anything in closing?
No, Sam. I just wished our next meeting will be advertised in the paper, probably advertising on your show when the meeting is, what time the meeting will be, and I hope that people will listen to what we're saying. We want them to join our group. It's not going to cost them any money. We want them to come there. We want them to listen. Call your neighbors, call your friends, get everybody there, because we need a lot of voices. We need a lot of voices to overcome what has been done in the past.
Put me down as a member or a group, because whether I want to disagree, but I want to tell you what you're doing is exciting, and I'm hoping people will just learn and get away from the old style politics. Instead of voting for me because I'm Italian or whatever, vote for the person that is qualified. Folks, Booty Beltrami on the Sam Lesante Show 24/7, ssptv.com. I hope to have him back, and we will be putting on Local News 13 when his meeting is, and of course we are covering it. We'll see you next time.